Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we are looking at essentials. And today we are looking at 5 essential must-see episodes of the Jodie Whittaker era. 5 episodes of the 13th Doctor that are essential viewing for any Doctor Who fan. And yes, I was able to find 5. You seem surprised. I sound surprised. But believe it or not, despite the Whittaker era being my least favorite and the one I think is objectively the weakest overall, and 13 being, I think, my least favorite and objectively the weakest Doctor we've had, she does have some episodes that are good sometimes in spite of her being in them. And we're going to look at 5 of those. And I didn't want to do the essentials list in chronological order. I kind of like jumping around a bit, and since the first video was about the first Doctor, I thought we would do the latest Doctor to have a full era completed with 13, and then we'll just randomly jumping around, keep you guessing. And we're going to start with Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror. I think that's what it's called. You guys know I love the Tesla episode. It's really good. One of the reasons it's so good is just the guy playing Tesla nails it. I think even if you're not a fan of that era, most of you would agree the guy playing Tesla just kills it here. He nails it. He is great. I think it's going to be very much a General Patton situation with him where, like, most people when they think of Patton, they don't think of Patton. They think of George C. Scott playing Patton because George C. Scott is so good in that role. It's the same thing here. I don't think when I think of Tesla, I'll be thinking of Tesla. I'll be thinking of this guy playing Tesla. And I mean, I enjoy the story. I like wondering what's going on. The creatures shape-shifting into people, sort of. I like stuff going on with that. The scavengers that steal because they can't build themselves. I like their character design. I love the fact they actually got the girl that played Ronnie in Sarah Jane Adventures to play kind of the queen of them. The guy playing Edison is good. I think he's a classic Who alum. I believe he played in Caves of Androzani, as I recall. He's good as Edison. And even 13 is pretty nice in this one. I like how she kind of fanboys out meeting Tesla a little. Not a lot, but a little. This is one of the episodes where Whittaker is still good in it. It's not like, there are some episodes that they're good episodes, but Whittaker's not great in them. Like, they're good episodes in spite of her, but she's fine in this one. Yaz and Graham and Ryan are fine in this one. It's nice because they don't really seem familiar with Tesla, and them kind of seeing what kind of visionary he was is really fascinating, how they're kind of in awe a little of that. And then it has a much more optimistic ending than, say, Vincent of the Doctor, which is a very depressing ending. This has a very optimistic ending because, sadly, Tesla didn't have the best life, and he died a very poor man. But his ending here is optimistic. It's like, let them have today. I have the future, and the future is mine. It is a much more upbeat, and it's why I actually think this is a better episode than Vincent and the Doctor. It is, I think, not just a good Whittaker era episode. I think it's a really good Doctor Who episode, and I very much enjoy it. Next on the list is The Power of the Doctor. I like this one a lot. Now, it's not perfect, and it's a little bloated in areas, and it brings back the Cyber Time Lords, which I don't like. Although that actually fits in with the plot at the beginning of the story pretty well. Sasha's doing a good job as the Master here. He's so over the top in places, but it's fun. I am the Doctor now! I am the Doctor! You gotta love that. Whittaker is putting in a good performance here. She does seem to have finally settled into the role pretty well. We get some wonderful moments with Ace and Tegan back. We get some wonderful moments that they get to share with the Doctor, including their doctors, which is glorious. I love the idea of the computer AI program, which is great, because it's a good way to have Whittaker in her final story a lot, while the actual 13th Doctor is sidelined a bit because of the Master, to still have Whittaker in the story. So it does a good job of keeping Whittaker involved in the story, while at the same time having a great excuse for us to have Tegan and Ace get to kind of reconcile with Davison and McCoy, which is really, really touching, and those are beautiful scenes. The ending feels a little rushed, but it still works. I also love the meeting between Ace and Graham. I love that. I love the kind of Doctor Companions, united group they kind of formed there at the end. We even got to see Ian. We even got to see William Russell, who was probably 96, 97 at the time they filmed it. Bless him, but they had him there. And just seeing Ian in that episode was staggering, which I believe set a Guinness World Record as an actor the longest amount of time between an actor appearing as a character and then reappearing as a character. And that's a long time. So that was pretty cool. And then I thought the regeneration was actually pretty good because she doesn't really give a long-winded speech, which has become kind of trope in Modern Who at this point. I like the fact that it wasn't this long-winded, okay, let's get on with it. You know, she actually just kind of said a few words, you know, take care of the next one, had her little speech outside, and then regenerated. And it was a great cliffhanger with Tennant. So I actually think overall it's a pretty good story, even if a shard feels wasted and doesn't need to be there, but nobody's perfect. It's not perfect, but it's good. Next on the list is The Haunting of Villa Dodie. I like this one a lot. This could be objectively the best story in her era. I really need to give it a rewatch. I like it. I love... Ooh, I can't stop yawning. I've got my air up super high because it is super hot outside. I love the camera work in this one. And the use of angles and everything, the use of lighting. It's directed very well. The mystery of what's going on that takes up a good chunk of the episode. Seeing the little silhouette of Silver, not knowing quite what that is. Seeing the lone Cyberman finally show up. Seeing this interesting take on the Cybermen. I like the lone Cyberman. I really wish he hadn't died. And of course they tried to bring him back in power. That didn't work. But just him as a character is really neat, especially here in this episode. I like him as a character. And I also like his design a lot. I love how the Doctor is taking it personally with him because of the events of what happened to Bill. She's taking it a lot more personally with the Cybermen and why she doesn't want her companions there, you know, I can't let anything happen to y'all because she's still upset about what happened to Bill. I like that kind of, how personal it is there. I enjoy that a lot. I like how it ties in with Mary Shelley and her husband, even though she does kind of have to make him live his death early in a way, which is kind of crazy because he has a very tragic death where he drowns, which he doesn't really get saved from here, but she kind of has to give him a taste of that. I mean, she kind of stumbles a bit because she manages to get the Cyberinium or whatever it's called and then has to give it up to save everybody. I feel like another Doctor would have figured out a better way to do that, but kind of has to sacrifice the future to save the present, which episodes 9 and 10 are she has to correct, basically. But it's a really good episode. I also like how she's explaining, you know, I'm the boss, basically. You know, we might be all in it, but I'm, you know, at the top. Or I can't remember how she says it, but I like that she points that out, and that she does kind of have to get serious with them. It's a really good episode. Not just, again, for the Whittaker era, but just for Doctor Who in general. It does a lot of clever things, especially with its use of camera work. I really love the directing of this episode. Next on the list is Fugitive of the Dune. This one is really a roller coaster. That's one of the things I like about it. There is so much going on in this episode. It keeps you on the seat of your pants. I mean, even on multiple viewings, but especially the first time you watch it, trying to figure out what's up with Ruth and what's up with Lee, what's going on with them and what their connection is. Trying to figure out why the Jadoon's there, why they're after the Doctor. Or why they're after Ruth, I should say. Finding out the revelation of who Ruth is, that she's a Time Lord. Finding out she's the Doctor. Finding the TARDIS. All of it. Seeing Captain Jack. I love seeing Captain Jack back. And one of the reasons it works is not only seeing Jack is great, because John Barrowman's amazing, but Joe Martin is just a good Doctor. Whether or not you want to believe she's a pre-Hartnell Doctor, or perhaps maybe an incarnation between Troughton and Pertwee, she is a good Doctor. She plays the role well. She really kind of reminds me of Capaldi, which Joe Martin has said in interviews she kind of channeled some of Capaldi in her performance, and that comes through. She's really good at it. I love her no-nonsense Doctor. I actually prefer her Doctor over 13's Doctor. So in the scenes when they're together, it's just great. Plus, I love her TARDIS interior. I kind of am surprised there's not more of them together. Like, you figure they would talk more before she's like, I'd like you to leave my ship now, or whatever she says. You kind of figure they would have longer conversations to try to figure out, since they don't remember each other, try to figure out where they are in the timeline. relative to each other, but they don't. That's a little odd. But yeah, it's a really fun episode. It works well as a roller coaster, even on repeat viewings. I've watched this one probably 4 or 5 times. It's a fun one to go back to, so I have to put it on the list for that. And last on the list is the Ghost Monument. I like this one a lot. One of the few Series 11 stories I'm quite fond of. But I've talked before on the channel about things I like about it. The guest cast is really good. The guy who rescues some of them and the girl who rescues the others, both of the actors playing them are doing a great job. The guy who is the one who put on the race, who appears kind of in the holographic tent, he's really good. They really help make the story for me. I like the planet, the fact the water is dangerous and all that. So many things on the planet can kill you. They don't really do as much with that as they could have, but I enjoy it. I love the fact the Ghost Monument is the TARDIS. I figured that out ahead of time. I guessed that, and when I found out I was right, I felt pretty proud of myself. I thought that was pretty cool, and that had been happening so long it had become a myth of it appearing. That's pretty neat. And then, of course, I love the living bandages concept of the bandages coming to life and being deadly and how they can strangle you. That reminds me a lot of a Thundercats episode where Lion-O was having to sneak into Mum-Ra's pyramid and living bandages tried to wrap him up and basically turn him into a mummy. It always makes me think of that episode, and I love Thundercats. I mean, I love Thundercats, if you can't tell. So the fact it makes me think of that, it pleases me. It's a fun episode. The ending's a little meh. Like when she walks into the TARDIS, and I like it a lot. You know, doing a kind of 180 of I don't like it to I like it a lot. She doesn't sell it. It's another moment where Whittaker tries really hard and it doesn't work. And the fact that that TARDIS interior is awful. Oh my lord, it's awful. But that's not the episode's fault. The episode itself is actually really good, and I enjoy it. I think it's a pretty good episode. So I want to know what 5 Whittaker episodes you like and think are episodes of Doctor Who that are must-sees for any Doctor Who fan. Good luck. Comment down below and let me know. Other things to do, don't forget to click the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell for notifications so you never miss out on another video. I am trying to reach 1,000 subscribers this year, so I certainly appreciate that if you like my videos. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me that way. There's a link to that down in the description below. I want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Stephen Crane, Colin Coney, and Finn Perkins. I do appreciate their support and the continued support of all of my patrons. It makes a big difference. And I also have a P.O. box if there's anything you would like to send me down there. And a link to my Amazon wish list is down there as well. Most importantly, thank you for watching. Come